with us Lionel Cornell. Now, Lionel, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Better since I've met with you young people.
Perfect. And let's start off with a little background information in today's interview. Where were you born?
Born in Baltimore, Maryland.
And when's your birthday?
March 5th, 1932.
And before the interview started, we were talking a little bit about how you liked singing when you were little and still now. Why don't you talk a little about that?
Well, what first comes to mind was about third grade music teacher kept us after school, about 6 of us, because we couldn't sing very well. So she banged out notes and then she gave up after about a year. But anyway, that gave us an enjoyment for music. And then when I got involved with some church work, then I got into choirs and learned how to direct, did some solo, not much solo, but mostly group singing. Did a quartet here in Lee County for several years and enjoyed that.
Do you play any instruments, or is it just all
Played
vocal?
the clarinet in high school and college, in the marching band, and had a lot of fun football games.
That's really cool. And you said you had an interest in psychology. Did that start when you were a kid as well, or did it develop on through the years?
No, that came after I started teaching.
Okay.
And got involved with that. Went to the University of Florida, got a degree in psychology and education. And just continued interest with that and read a lot of books about it and developed some programs from that, developed a stress management program.
Now, can you go into a little bit of depth about the stress management program?
We all need some kind of program to take a look at our stress. There's so many stressors in our lives. One of the first things that I worked with in my programs was how people think about themselves and look at themselves. And in fact, I used the word love a great deal and try to get an understanding of the different kinds of love and what's the difference between being egotistical or loving and caring about self in that way. So a whole hour of my programs is about love and relationships. And if we can halfway get that associated in our lives, that'll cut down on a lot of stress and a lot of problems. So that's the beginning. Then it gets into other areas of thinking, the mind, the chemicals in the body, how they hold on to feelings and how we can release those.
Right.
And instead of harboring them in the body and maybe making ourselves sick, we can release those as best we can and live as stress-free life as we possibly can in such a stressful time.
And also before the interview, you talked about how you almost enlisted in the Navy.
Oh,
Tell us a little story about that.
Well, I've never heard anyone just turned down without even being looked at. But anyway, I was teaching 6th grade at the time, and I had a cousin who was killed in the Korean War, so I wanted to go in. And I love the Navy. My brother had been in the Navy. So I quit my job at school, wrote a letter to Navy procurement in Savannah and told them I had some medical courses and some religion courses, and I might do pretty well as a medic's assistant or a chaplain's assistant. And I got a beautiful letter back, just lovely government letterhead. And it said, thank you for all of your interest. And the first paragraph just built me up, and I could see me in a uniform. Then it came to the next paragraph, and it said, however, we don't need anybody for those positions. And they said, go back to teaching school. So I said, whoa, they didn't even, I'm not even 4F. They just turned me down. So anyway, I went hustling back to my principal and said, can I have my job back? And that's how I stayed in education.
All right, very well. And do you have any siblings at all?
I have an older daughter who now is in Little Rock working for the University of Arkansas there. And my middle daughter just started recently her own insurance business up in the mountains of Tennessee in a little town called Elizabethton, if I said that halfway right. And my youngest daughter, Amy, is a physical therapist here in Lee County.
And how long have you been teaching for?
Well, retired after 39 years. Tried to get it to 40,
Wow.
but couldn't make it.
So I take it you really enjoy teaching.
Yes, I did. I had just a lot of different jobs in the educational programs, but enjoyed it. Love young people like y'all, and I worked with kindergarten kids right on through to adult education programs. So it was fun.
Let's get into a little bit of your travels. You said that you've traveled a lot in the United States. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, after we retired, my wife and I both got involved with Red Cross in Marion County, Florida, and had the opportunity to travel back down here during a flood, and then traveled around the country, about 22 different sites. Enjoyed working up with the Indians in South Dakota. It was a terrible tornado they had, but just enjoyable because I like cowboy country. It was Custer country where he got wiped out. And then I had an opportunity, I was sent to Puerto Rico, enjoyed working with those folks. And so that was volunteer travel. And then my wife and I both like to do a cruise once in a while.
What do you think your favorite place to travel was when you were doing volunteer work?
With the Red Cross?
Yes.
South Dakota was probably my favorite as far as the history of it. Of course, when you're with Red Cross on those kind of projects, everything's blown away or blown down, and it's tragic. However, you get to meet lovely people under very stressful conditions, and that's enheartening. You can derive a lot of strength from people in tough times like that. So I enjoyed working at every place, all the places we were at. But like I say, South Dakota is just beautiful, the Black Hills and all the stuff that's in that area is just lovely.
Now, volunteering-wise, you said that you volunteered for Red Cross. Have you volunteered for anything else, or have you just stayed in that organization?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a fireman. That was one of my kid dreams. So I was a volunteer fireman for 2 years, and that's hard work. I got stuck in our training. I got stuck in it wasn't a real burning building, but it was a pretend, and I got my tank all hooked up, and I would have died if it was real. So anyway, 2 years with that was interesting. I learned a great deal about candles and what not to do with them and so on, and that fires can burn you up. And then most recently, in fact, just 2 weeks before we came down here again, my wife and I both were volunteers in intensive care unit in Lee County Hospital. Marion County Hospital. I'm in Lee County now.
As far as hobbies and interests go, what do you do in your spare time?
Right now, running around meetings at Cypress Cove. Before here, I like to work with, made little miniature things. Some of them were very tiny, and I made clipper ships for fun, models of that. Did some painting, oil paintings, and a little bit of watercolor. Was never good at any of it, but like to try different things. And I love singing. And music, just about of any kind. I really enjoy that.
Do your kids enjoy music as much as you do, or did it catch on to them?
No, I think they like music, and I think they like enjoying it. In fact, my youngest daughter, she was a DJ before she went into physical therapy. Now, I think I'm the weirdest one. I really like music.
That's really cool. So when we were talking before the interview, you also said that you ran a track meet, you were a track coach. Why don't you go into a little bit of detail about that?
Well, I ran track in high school, quarter mile and mile relay. Tried hurdling until I busted my toe, couldn't get over the hurdle hard enough. Did some broad jumping until I kneed myself in the nose and thought that wasn't fun. Did some pole vaulting, in fact, until I bent the pole and broke the only pole we had at the meet, so that ended the pole vaulting. But I had an opportunity up at Lionel High School to coach track, and for 7 years we won our district championship in that area at that time.
That's really cool. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to add to the interview at all?
I just want to compliment you young folks on your program here is just phenomenal. And you all do such a good job. And I'm just so proud of you.
Well, it was such a pleasure having you on our show, and you're welcome back anytime you want. And we'll see you next time on Meet Your Neighbor.